Oh, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Money in the Law here on My FM 101.3 with your host, Jay Marsden from the Marsden Law Group. And I'm John Drohan from Main Effort Financial, both of us located in downtown Holliston, Massachusetts, so arguably the epicenter of the world. Well, it's definitely the epicenter of our world.
Oh, absolutely it is. You got it. Yeah.
So we are here every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. On My FM 101.3, talking to you about all things that have to do with money and all things that have to do with law. Yet we do it in such a way where it's fun, entertaining, almost like
riveting,
almost like an early Christmas present. If you were looking under the tree, you may see, you may hear this coming out from your radio, and they say, "Wow, that's a present."
It's an audio Christmas card from us to you. That's right. What it is. Every week. Every week.
And we are also joined by Christian Bidet, who is the senior executive producer at the Holliston Cable Access TV, who is kindly enough to put us on TV.
Whose name is synonymous with the Christmas season.
Christian,
yeah,
Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost off. Sometimes I'll call him Christmas, and just inadvertently, and he'll acknowledge it because he's like, yes, I am Christmas.
Check in with Christmas Bidet. We'll see how everything's going, and it just rolls right off your tongue.
Merry Christmas Bidet. Yeah.
Merry Christian. Merry Christian.
Merry Christian Christmas Bidet.
Got it.
So as I said, we are here every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock to talk about all things that you really are interested in that have to do with money and law, or something that may not have to do with money or the law.
No, we'll just make some stuff up.
But you were actually what we're interested in. So hopefully our interests are similar.
Hopefully they align. Hopefully they align.
That's
Makes
right.
it easier. Makes it a lot easier.
Yep, that's right. And I'm dialed in today because I do have the headphones on.
Oh, game on.
Although it looks funny on the TV because it messes up my hair a little bit, but you know what? I got them on. I feel like I'm like I said, I'm buckled in. It's like
you look like you're getting ready to get on a flight. You get your noise canceling headphones on. You're ready to sit down. That's right.
In the old days, one of my favorite things, arguably, I tell this to everybody, one of my favorite things to do ever in the military was ride in a helicopter. So I was fortunate. I got to ride in a lot of helicopters, and as you kind of move up in the ranks, you get kind of tuned. You get locked in on. They say, hey, do you want to put the headphones on? Oh, talk about. I mean, it was like being in a movie, right? Because the helicopter pilots were always so cool. I mean, you see them on TV, they're cool. Right. In real life, they're 10 times cooler. They're just like, yeah, Roger, we're gonna move back. Right there, okay, right. Yeah, we're picking up. Give me a little flack back there. All right, Bob. Let's see. And everything's first name, right? Yep. Everything's cool. And all I'm doing, I'm just listening with my headphones on. Like, this is so awesome. Can I say something? Right?
Can I say something? No, sir, you're not cool enough.
Yeah, no, sir. Why don't you just stay in the back, keep it down.
Settle down there, big fella. Yeah. Settle down.
So
everybody has their job.
So that's how I feel, right? So it's almost like Jay is like a helicopter pilot. Jay, of course, Jay, he's been doing this for over 7 years. He's a natural. I get that from all of our fans. Anytime someone, in fact, recently our mutual friend Paul Gahn, right?
Yes,
Paul
Gahn.
Paul Gahn mentioned. He said, "I heard you guys on the radio." And once again, Jay is great. He's really funny, and I'm like, yeah,
smooth as butter, smooth as butter,
as melted butter.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's funny, very funny. What's on your mind? I have something I was going to bring up. I want to confirm with you whether or not you have a topic that you would like to grace the
whatever
airways
you want
with.
to do. I approve.
So I want to bring something up only because.
Does it have to do with Christmas?
No, it has nothing to do with Christmas. A little bit related to Christmas, but I want to bring it up only because you mocked me incessantly about this when it first happened, and so I just want to bring it up because there's a tinge of sadness to it, but it illustrates a point that is so critical, I think. But again, you mocked me so mercilessly the first time I brought this up, and I got a very unfortunate gotcha right back at you. Take that. And so I have to embrace it. I have to embrace it. But so a couple of years ago, we had a show, and in the show you said to me, what do you want to talk about? And I said, I want to talk about using the holidays as a way to covertly check in on mom and dad, right? To see how they're doing, right? And I believe you might have laughed for the first,
I don't remember
90% of the show, maybe at the last 10%.
We're gonna have to look back at the tape on this.
Go back and watch somebody do me a favor. Go back to that show. It's about 3 years ago. Go back and find that show.
Pretend there's a producer in there.
Tell me if I'm wrong.
Ray, check that out right now for us.
That's right. That he didn't mock my. And here's why I'm bringing it up. But what we had talked about was, you're going to go to mom and dad's house, and you're going to spend a lot of time hanging around together over the holidays. And it's a great opportunity to kind of take stock of what's going on without looking like you're prying, right? Because mom and dad tend to be private individuals. They live their entire life. They play it pretty close to the vest. And a lot of people, for any number of reasons, you and me maybe included, maybe Christian, he's a little further away from the finish line than we are, but you don't want to highlight your frailties, right? You don't want to highlight the fact that maybe you don't have your fastball anymore. Somebody challenges you.
That's right.
And it's, let's go out in the yard and race right now, right? Now you might lose, but you're not going to take it lying down.
You're not going to retire your king.
No, that's right. You're not going to say, I can't do it anymore. You're going to say, I'm going to make every effort in the world. And I might lose, but I'm going to make the effort.
I might lose, get permanently injured,
that's
but
right.
you know what?
Right. Blow out a hamstring, but that's fine. So we talked about this on the show, and we talked about, when you go to mom and dad's house, you get to check out, do they have food in the refrigerator? Do they have food in the cabinet? Is it food that's edible and consumable, or is it, all expired and all, does the car have you're bringing out recycles to the bin, and you look at the car. Is the car all banged up? Have there been questions about whether or not, your parents should still be driving, or your mom or your dad should still be using their license? And, the ability to kind of really take stock of, is there a clutter factor, right? Are they not throwing things out? Do you see the beginning foundations of a hoarding situation?
Were you over my house recently? Because I feel like now
you're checking all those boxes.
No, I feel like this is a back door to check me out to make sure that
I'm not checking. No,
listen,
no,
you know what? I know I'm older than you, but you know what? Not by a lot.
But the reason that I'm bringing this up, and again, I think the holidays are a great opportunity. You spend a lot of time together. You get to basically observe mom and dad and their natural habitat, and you get to see that, is everything okay, right? Does it seem like somebody's slipping a little bit? Now, the reason I say this is because the first year we did this, and you literally took me out to the woodshed over this issue.
This is a point between us. Okay. Yeah.
That was the year that on Thanksgiving, my sister called me and said, I think something's up with my dad. I think something's up with dad.
I remember.
And lo and behold, the poor guy ended up having a brain tumor.
I remember.
And I said, and I called you a week later, and I said, hey, John, some good news and bad news.
Guy.
Good news is, I was right.
Yeah.
Right? That was the whole purpose of the call. Gotcha. I was right. Bad news. Oh, by the way, my dad's really sick.
Yeah.
So this is the point I'm trying to make. This is a great opportunity this time of the year when you're spending a ton of time with mom and dad. We joked about this on the show. Mom puts a completely frozen turkey down in the middle of the table and says, dig in.
Delicious.
You might want to think about having some stuff checked out, because this is the time of the year where you can do it, spend a lot of time together, and do it in a bit of a covert fashion, just to make sure that everything is on the up and up. That was my point.
Yeah, so this is the let's make John feel like a jackass. I can say that on Hollis and Cable Access.
I think you can.
Yeah.
No, that was not my point at all. My point was.
I feel terribly. I mean, it was. I obviously in the discussion of the moment, I'm sure that it wasn't. It was. There was something that was causing me to find humor in that. And I don't recall at this time.
Look, I will tell you without it. I joined right in, I'm sure, right? Knowing the dynamic, I joined right in, and never in a million years afterwards would I have thought, oh my God, we just made fun of this for an hour.
And that was,
in the way we move, I thought to myself, oh yeah, we kind of joked about it. We had a lot of fun with it. And then afterwards, I'm like, as usual, I'm like, we had a lot of fun with this, but man, oh man. So my point is, 'tis the season, right? And while you're enjoying all your time with everybody, don't be afraid to observe and notice, are there things going on that would not necessarily manifest themselves in a regular old Joe Blow phone call where everything is fine, everything is great? Well, you can now get a chance to see, is everything working?
Right. Well,
is everything happening?
And in your dad's case, which was extremely unfortunate, that your dad, I mean, he had a brain tumor, so that caused it to accelerate faster than probably, kind of normal dementia things.
Oh, yeah, this was not you're right, this is not a dementia situation. The early signs, without knowing what it was, I thought to myself,
it looked like it, right?
I think he's losing his fastball. That's what I thought. I was convinced. If you had told me, yeah, pick one of these and it's worth $1 million, I would have got it wrong. I'm like, there's no way that he's going to be, it's going to be dementia. That's what it's going to be, because we're also conditioned to it. That's all you hear about, right? I mean, everybody assumes, oh, you're over 85. If you forget something at the grocery store, Alzheimer's, dementia, that's it. Bring him some, you're so conditioned to that in this day and age. Never would you assume it's something else.
Well, because it's common. Because it's very common. I mean, how many people do we know? How many people do our listeners know that it's like somebody who is suffering from or has suffered from dementia or Alzheimer's or or a combination of both? Like it's it's a very real thing.
Well, you know, you're in the business. How real is it? It's so real that our entire industry has now made accommodations as part of their process to say to clients, who's your trusted person? If you can't make a decision, and they want to know, they want it right on the paperwork today, who do you talk to? Who does your advisor reach out to when you call up and start trading penny stocks, something that you've never done in your entire life?
Right.
How do you handle something like that, right? And so, you know, there's some checks and balances in some systems, but not every system. I mean, this goes back to the idea of what we've been preaching for 7 years, which is when you work with a trusted advisor, you have the ability to put these things in place, right? Your trusted advisor can say, you know, I get a phone call from your dad today or your mom today, and she wanted to do things that were wildly outside the bounds of anything we've ever done.
Yeah.
I think something's wrong, you know, and these scenarios, these touchstones, you don't find out these things until, you know, after the fact, after somebody's made a series of really bad decisions. So this is the time of the year to think about these things. You know, it sounds a little grim. That's why I'm saying it as, you know, do it on the QT. It doesn't mean, you know, you don't walk in and say to mom, you know, full examination time. I mean, This is just observe. Just be conscious of, you know, does everything seem okay? And if it doesn't seem okay, that doesn't mean you jump all over somebody at dinner, but there's an opportunity to kind of probe a little bit or talk to your other siblings and say, hey, is it me, or does, you know, mom or dad seem a little off this season or a little off this year, or they're a little confused, or they're, you know, there's a lot going on and they seem to not be as with it as they were last year. Is there something that we need to think about? You know, you'll see them moving around. Is there a frailty issue there? Is there you know, is somebody having a tough time getting around, and they weren't having a tough time getting around a year ago? I mean, they might have something going on. And
yeah, I mean, there's, you know,
they're not willing to share it.
Any number of things, right? And that's the thing is, like, people, you know, as we everybody's, you know, as growing up, you always feel like you're bulletproof, and you're not. You always want to, you know, you want to be self-sufficient. You want to, and that's the thing is, as people get older, and especially, you know, elderly people. And when that becomes something that we would take for granted, like driving to the store or being able to, you know, move wood in from the outside to put in the fireplace, becomes like something that it's hard, or it's challenging, or it's something that, you know, where in the old days it was easy. Now it's like, now I got to plan for it. I got to make sure that it's not too icy outside. You know, there's
just get a foot of snow. It's you know, I mean, someone's gonna, you know, is there a plan in place to take care of that and to address that, right? The mom and dad, are they throwing in the towel and not going out because it's snowy and it's icy and they're really worried about falling, which they never were before, which means they might have taken a tumble and they're just not telling anybody, you know, and you gotta kind of sort of think through some of these things.
Yeah, and the other thing is, you know, at least what I'm speaking for myself, like, you know, my mom, you know, knock on wood, is self-sufficient, right? She lives by herself. She's a machine, right? She's involved in a million different things, but, you know, so I take her for granted. I mean, my mom's not, you know, I won't disclose my mother's age, but I'm 51 going on 52, so there you go.
Do the math. You'll get in the ballpark.
I always tease her. I always say, hey, you're not getting old, Mom, but you got a 50-year-old kid. So, you know, whatever that means. Take it for what it's worth, right? You know, so, you know, you know, I take that for granted, and that, you know, that she can do everything, you know, because she always has been able to, and she always has, you know, since she's been on her own, she's been super self-sufficient. But, you know, and I think that's something that we all fall into, because, you know, we all have our own lives, we all have our own things that we're, the near targets that you're taking down in front of you all the time. You can kind of overlook the, you know, like calling or checking in on your parents, or you may not see them for an extended period of time.
Right.
You know, it could be any, you know, from a couple of weeks to a couple of months or whatever, because just based on your schedule or how often you see your parents and your locale. But, you know, at the end of the day, like Jay said, you know, everybody gets together in the holidays. There's sort of a kind of a amplified situation. You know, every you know, at least for our family, and when everybody gets there, there's a lot going on. You know, there's little kids, there's grown-ups, there's all kinds of, you know, activities going on. It's fun, right? And then, you know, it's designed to be fun. But you can really check out. You can see, you know, how is my mom, you know, I'll use our example. How's my mom reacting to this? As she, you know, is it normal? Like, does she stressed out because of the dinner? And, you know, maybe she always gets like that because she always wants everything to be perfect. Or is she reserved? Is she, like, not talking as much? Is she not engaging as much as she used to? And, you know, any kind of differences in behavior where you'll say, you know, this seems different than what I'm used to. At least to kind of ask the question, or at least to, you know, maybe, observe it more to try and find out more if there's anything that looks like it could be different or could be that's changed.
Right, and that's my point. My point is you get to really, this is not something that we say to people, look, this is a confrontational situation, but our office gets phone calls all the time around the holidays where somebody says, we just had dinner with my parents and either this conversation came up or we noticed as a result of spending so much time with them that they're not doing as well as we thought they were, or this is a different interaction than a one-on-one visit, right? Where it's very binary, right? It's one direction. It's very much focused on my conversation with you, your conversation with me, and that's it. And we don't go outside the lines, right?
Yeah.
And then this is a different, this is different. This is a social setting. There's a lot going on. You get to see what's going on without having to feel like you're engaging with somebody. There's sort of an observation opportunity where you get to take stock of everything that's going on, And if you're walking around and you're noticing that there's a pile of paperwork, or there's bills, or there's, like I said, there's problems with vehicles that didn't show up before. And again, it's not designed to be accusatory. It's not designed to be confrontational. It's designed for you to take.
Mom, how come you have 3 cars? Where did you get the other 2 cars? Oh,
yeah.
Well, yeah.
And how come they're all in the 1-car driveway that we have? How did you get them all in there? I mean, again,
that didn't really happen.
These are things that you get to sort of make some mental notes and write some stuff down, or talk to some siblings and say, is everybody else seeing the same thing I'm seeing? And is there a situation here that we need to address and or get in front of before it becomes a bigger problem, right? That's all we're suggesting, but it might be an opportunity to put forward some conversation around, hey, there's some things that we need to think about. I'm not saying that you're bundling anybody up and they're running out the door to a facility somewhere. I'm just saying this is the time, because everybody's usually together, and if you have some downtime to kind of bring these conversations up, because you're filling a lot of time. You get a lot of time. There's a lot of football to watch, and you can only talk about so many things. And after a while, someone's going to open the door. Someone's going to open the door.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of time till it's done. Like, wow, where'd all the time go? So before we go to break, I just want to. So I'll because my mother is an avid fan of the show. These are the 2 things. These would be the 2 red flags that I would look for. One. So you mentioned one of them. If you show up and there's no food in the refrigerator. So here's kind of the standard that my mother has set for any time we're coming. She knows we're coming over. So there's more food in that refrigerator. This is for a woman who lives by herself, where you can't open, it's like one of those sliding freezers on the bottom. You have to use your foot to get that thing open. To pull it open. I'm like, why? Who eats all this stuff? Oh, you never know.
Someone might drop in.
And then the cold cuts level, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you want it would put. Seriously, my mother's cold cut drawer would put the superette out of business. Yeah. They'd be like, oh, you need 15 pounds of smoked turkey? You need you need American cheese?
I have 7 selections of turkey. Which one do you want?
Yeah. So if that were not there, if that were any different, I'd be like, something's wrong. And then the other thing is, so, we talked about like vehicles and stuff. So my mom behind her garage has 7, count them, 7 kayaks.
Nice.
Right? 7 kayaks. And like I don't think anyone's been in those kayaks in the last, 5 or 6 years. Right. Probably at least 6 years, right? So if any of those kayaks look like they've been used or even inspected, I'd be like, what's going on with the kayaks? Then I know something is wrong. So
or if you go in the drawer to grab those cold cuts and they're from last year. Yeah. Hold on, something going on here. Hold on. Whoa. Hey, Mom, what's up with the turkey? No. Oh yeah, pull that out. Have some of that right now. Whoa. Time out.
Oh no. That never happens. There's everything is everything. She knows because she knows the deal. She knows.
She got it all buttoned up.
She knows because my kids will check it. My kids are they're. I mean, they want to have hours on the expiration date. Like, I know it says tomorrow, but what time?
Oh, they operate by the way my kids do. Dad, at midnight, I heard the milk go bad at midnight.
What time?
I heard the milk go bad. Do you hear that sound? That's the milk. That's the milk curdling in the fridge as we speak. Yep, that's right.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back on Monday in Law, talking about checking out your parents and making sure they're okay during the holidays.
Covertly.
As covertly as you possibly. Ma, you doing okay? You fine? What's the matter with you? Yeah.
Hey, Mike, give me a beer, will you? Hey, that's a wrong beer. Something's wrong with you.
We'll be right back.
And we're back. Money in the Law, my FM 101.3. My name is Jay Marsden, the Marsden Law Group.
I pledge of allegiance.
John Drohan, Main Effort Financial. And, of course, we are joined by Christian here at my FM 101.3. This is your 2019 9-time winner, by the way, of Massachusetts Broadcaster Association radio station of the year.
I mean, they're sick of winning.
I
Right?
mean,
they're like the New York Yankees. Like, really, again?
Well, it's
Come on.
MAGA, right? We're going to do more winning. We're going to get so sick of winning. Wasn't that his line?
All
We're
we
so
do
sick
is
of
win,
All we do is
win,
win.
win.
So these guys, by the way, always win. You know one of the reasons they win as much as they do? Their commitment to community. I mean, there's no one more involved, more generous, more willing to tie into different things that are going on in the community than these guys here. Tom and his crew at My FM 101.3, Ray, everybody here. They do a tremendous job, and again, they are as committed to community as you'll find. And that's what makes the world go around.
That's what makes this world go around.
Absolutely
My
right.
world right here, the one I'm in. Yeah,
That's right. The Monday
So
Law world.
it's funny. Speaking of Tom McAuliffe, the owner and operator of the Winnebago, the WMRC, My FM 101.3.
Yep.
He calls me today and he said he's like, hey, and it's funny in our office when his name comes up, Joanne and Sharon, they'll answer all the phones, but if it's Tom McAuliffe, they'll go Tom McAuliffe, and I'm
Nice.
like, oh, that means I got to get
your
it.
call. Yep.
Yeah.
We just ignore his call.
So, so I pick up the phone and he starts telling me about what I'm about to talk about is this drive for veterans to get coach for veterans, and he's saying, when you come in on Wednesday, and I'm like, it is Wednesday, and he's like, yeah, wow. I've been out shoveling up. Maybe next Wednesday. So this is, we're talking about checking in on people. I think when we leave, I'm going to go check in on Tom.
Right.
Yeah, and make sure that his fastball. Maybe see if his slider's working because I'm sure his fastball's. All right. So this is what he asked me to talk. Some great things going on in Holliston by a guy by the name of Mr. Peter Hill.
Yes.
So Mr. Peter Hill's very involved with the veterans, and he's been doing it's called Help Keep Veterans Warm This Winter. So far, he's raised $2,700 to buy homeless veterans in items in need and help them stay warm and well. He's donating goods to the Worcester Veterans Incorporated, also the Chelsea Soldier Home. And if he gets enough donations, he'll be sending some to the Holyoke Soldiers Home as well. He's collecting all warm weather gear: coats, hats, gloves, sweaters, socks, long underwear, sweat. You know what? Not short underwear. So don't drop off any of the shit. I don't think
not the tidy
Jay will be drop. No. But all things: sweatpants, sweatshirts, anything that'll keep guys warm. Designed for veterans. He also is collecting some personal hygiene things like deodorant, hairbrush, shave cream, razors, shampoo, all that stuff. $5 Dunkin' Donut gift cards, anything, or Starbucks, or Subway, or anything like that. Anything that you want to donate, he'll be taking. If you have any questions, contact him at the Natick American Veterans at 508-208-7976. All right. So
one more time with the number.
508-208-7976. All right. So here's how you can reach out and how you can link up them. So at Casey's Crossing on Saturday, December 14th, beginning at 3 p.m. You know what else is happening at that same time?
I think you're going to tell us.
I'm going to tell you right now. Army is going to be beating the pants off the Navy again. Sick of doing it. It's the Army-Navy game, and I'm a little.
Go Black Knights.
Yeah, I'm a little bit. I'm partial to one of the teams because Navy. Nothing against the Navy guys. It's just that you can't play football.
Wow.
Yeah, you can't. Army beats Navy on Saturday, December 14th. Beginning at 3 o'clock, there's going to be 50-cent wings and half-price pizza. So if you can't make it, you can also drop your stuff off at Acadian Farms, which is on Norfolk Street in Holliston, Massachusetts. But try and get down to Casey's on Saturday the 14th, 3 o'clock. To drop off all your stuff. There'll be bins and being able to collect everything that you're.
Now, is this? I want to make it clear. They would take new stuff. Are they looking for new or used?
New or used, yeah.
New or used.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I want to make sure of. So if you have coats, the house that you want to get rid of, if you're going through your closet and you got 60 coats and you say to yourself, we only wear one at a time, so we don't need those. Hats, gloves, socks. Obviously, you mentioned the long, short underwear issue.
Long
Sweatpants
underwear
and
only.
sweatshirts. That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. That's
Long
right.
underwear only.
So he'll help collect those items. Let's keep our veterans warm for those guys who need some
Okay,
help.
Mr. Peter Hill. There he is. He's our guy. All right.
So do you have any colleagues that you are friendly with on the Navy side of the aisle, if you will? So I know you're an Army guy. Do you know anybody who went to Annapolis?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
The reason I asked that question is when I worked at Fidelity, that little mutual fund shop in town, there were two guys in the office. One of the guys in the office went to Army. One of the guys in the office went to Navy. And so every year for this game, they had a running bet. And the loser of the bet had to show up the next day, I believe either in his uniform from school, or he had to
School
wear
uniform.
Yeah, that's right. Or he had to wear. Yeah, so your graduation threads, right?
Yeah.
So he either had to show up and wear his, or he had to wear the
not bad.
other guys,
That's
and then he had to sing the other school's fight song.
Yeah.
Yep. So
yeah, that.
that was a bit of an event around the office. Big day for us to sit around and watch the
That's fun.
shenanigans.
That's fun.
And that's great stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good lifelong bet right there.
So it's funny. I'm not exactly sure of the record, the total record between the two teams. So when I was in school, a million years ago, it was I'm making up numbers, but it was tied.
Right.
It was 50. Navy won 50 times and Army won 50 times. I think the 4 years I was there, they'd split.
Yeah.
Right. And it's weird because Navy. After I left, Navy's team got good, and so then they dominated for a good number of years. And then in recent years, in the past 3 years, Army has been very good, and so Army is dominated. But it doesn't matter. There's been countless times where one team's having a better season than the other, but then they come in and that game.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
It gets crazy. So all of our games, all of the Army Navy games were played in Philadelphia, so that was kind of my stadium away from home there.
Yeah.
As the 12-man. So I may have to wear my Army jersey. I may have to wear my 12-man jersey because
there you go.
Yeah, that was me. I wasn't the 11th man. No, I was at number 12.
When's the game again? Saturday, December 14th.
Saturday, December 14th.
Fantastic.
Go to Casey's, bring some clothes, and just help everybody.
Raise a glass, watch the
and
game.
Beat Navy.
Yep. Go. There you go. All right. All right, well, I'll think about it. Maybe I'll take the other side of that action. We'll keep it interesting.
Whatever you need to do. What's
that's
the
fine.
longest you ever been on a boat? Yeah, we'll see how much Navy time you like. Yeah, a Navy guy.
Hey, I'm not my whatever. I was doing different training on a boat anytime I was on a boat.
That's right.
Different
That's
training
right.
than those Navy guys. That's right.
I do. It's funny. I do have a bet. That's actually not a bad idea because I do have a running bet with a dear friend of mine who is a graduate of the Naval Academy, Mr. Chuck O'Brien. All right. So, Chuck O'Leary. Sorry, Mr. O'Leary and I have this bet, and we just bet lunch. Right. He's a little bit older than I am. Right. So I don't know if he even has his uniform, but I'd be willing.
Sure
I bet he has his hat.
Yep.
So we'll say the loser has to wear their school hat, to lunch.
And sing your fight song.
And sing my fight
and
song.
then he has to know what he has to do? He has to take a FaceTime of it, or he has to take a video of it and send you the video.
I'm calling him out on it.
There you go, right now.
I'm calling him out on it.
All right,
yeah.
if anybody has any suggestions what to add into this mix, but I think it's something he needs
Feel free.
He needs to videotape or in his phone or whatever himself.
Reach out on
singing your school
moneyinthelaw.net.
song and his cap.
Yep.
Ideally his uniform, but if not, in his hat. Yeah, throw that out.
I mean, his uniform might be in some sort of a. No, I'm just kidding. He's a little bit older than I am, but not much. He did spend some time in Vietnam.
There you go. All right. Yeah, he's got a couple years on you.
All right.
Good stuff.
I was born during the Tet Offensive. So were you.
Yes, I was.
It was a long campaign.
That's right. That's exactly right.
All right. So leaving 1968 and now heading to
back into 2020 almost. Yeah,
right,
that's right. Yep.
So we're talking about how what are some of the things that you can do, and some of the idea of providing that kind of overwatch for loved ones, and we're using our parents as examples, but providing that kind of say, look, we're here, and again, it all kind of comes back to being supportive and being aware of people's surroundings and people's situations in such a way so that if they need help or if there's something that can be identified, that you can do this sooner rather than later. Because the last thing you want to have happen is you want to have something happen to a loved one or somebody get themselves in a position, whether it be physically or financially, where they kind of paint themselves in a corner just because they're not as quick as they used to be. They're maybe they get they take on somebody comes in and they get ripped off, or they try and do something that they feel like they could. I've done this all the time. I've always like my mother, I've always stacked 7 cords of wood every year. Why can't I do it this year?
Right. Well, the other thing too is a lot of times, and we hear this a lot from folks, is they say, look, I'm trying to get that conversation going, but it's really hard to get it going, and I don't want to broach the subject if it's going to create problems within the family and the dynamic, and how do I even start the conversation? Now remember, this is resolution season, right? So you're spending a lot of time sitting around, and everyone's looking for something to talk about, right? And so look, you could say to somebody, hey, do you have any resolutions for 2020? And you could start the conversation yourself by
Drink less beer.
No,
Yeah, I mean,
never.
ridiculous resolution.
And more whiskey. That's different. That's different, right? But you could start the resolutions conversation by saying, you know what I want to get done this year? I need to get my estate plan updated, right? Direct it at yourself, right? Direct it at yourself. You know, we've been talking about getting our wills updated. We've been talking about going to see somebody, and you know what? We want to get that done. That's something that we want. Now, putting that out there, that may be enough to kind of move the conversation a little bit, and somebody else might pick up on that. Or if your loved ones or if your parents, if they haven't even started that conversation, again, you could say, look, we're thinking about getting something put in place, and we just want to know our options. Our resolution is to know what our options are, so we can figure out if and or whether or not we want to do something. And hey, you know, Mom and Dad, something that you'd be interested in, or have you guys thought about something like that? That's about as non-threatening. That's not accusing anybody of anything. That's not causing a problem. That's not fomenting dissent within the team. That's just basically saying, look, this is something that we think is important, and have you guys done that? That's it. That's it. You're asking for help. Have you guys done that? And that starts. Now, I say this because, and we've talked about this on the show, for some strange reason in the last 6 months or so, we've had a lot of last-minute planning come in the door. People come walking in and say, we've done absolutely nothing. There's a little bit of an emergency, a little bit of a crisis on hands, and we need to move, and we need to move quickly. And these discussions at this time of the year, it's a good way to open the door to say, is that something that we need to get done? Fresh start, new year, end of the year, let's do some planning, and let's think about
and
getting this going.
you're not doing this on Christmas Eve. You know, it's not like you're having like an estate planning conversation on Christmas Eve or anything. You know, I mean,
you could, but it's not recommended.
And Jay, of course, in the Marsden law, any time is a good time to start talking about estate plans, right?
Well, if Santa Claus handed out gifts and one of those gifts just happened to be the contact information from Marsden Law, which is 847 Washington Street, Holliston, Massachusetts, then that's fine too. That's fine too.
That's a gift that keeps on giving.
Contact our office. We'll put something together for you. That's
wrap it up.
That's presentable, right? What do they say when you're on like the U.S. Mint? It comes in a displayable case or something like that. So we'll give you some. We'll make it look nice. You won't be embarrassed. You won't be embarrassed.
Oh no, you won't.
No.
Here you go, Mom. Look at this.
It'll light up the room.
Look at this estate planning questionnaire that you can fill out.
Oh
I'm going to help
Mom.
you. Look, a lot of it's already filled out.
Hey, we're all sitting around. Let me ask a couple of questions. Mom, real quick, how much money do you have in Fidelity? Just throw that stuff out there. Fill the questionnaire. Hey, Mom, hypothetically speaking, Santa Claus shows up right now and asks you. And by the way, dressing up as Santa Claus, again, making these questions very, very approachable. People really warm to that.
Open up. Open up.
Yeah.
People, I mean, as a matter of fact, here, come sit on Santa's lap. And
who do you want to be your power of attorney? Who do you want to be your healthcare proxy? Right? You're going to answer. Santa Claus asked you a question. You're going to answer those questions. You're not going to give Santa the Heisman.
You're not going to shy away from that.
So welcome. Sit down. What do you want to have happen to your estate when you're not around? That stuff just rolls. That just gets the conversation
this could happen.
Going.
This could.
If you need John and I to show up in those outfits to get this conversation going, then we'll do it. We'll do it. That's fine.
Right. Show up at your Christmas Eve party dressed as two Santas.
That's right. To do all the estate planning intakes for everybody in the room. We just bang it out.
How are we going to fund this trust? Let's figure it out.
That's right. Pass the cookies. Who wants some more eggnog? And who do you want to cut out?
Here.
Who in this room right here drives you crazy? You want to cut them out of your will? We can do that.
Let's do it right now, right?
Let's do it.
Who's on your naughty list? Here we go. That's right.
You call it a naughty list. We call it your will with a clause, with a disclaimer clause as to who's not getting anything.
You call it
naughty, nice. Who's getting cold?
You call it a nice list.
That's
we
right.
call it a list of beneficiaries of your trust.
I give my daughter a lump sum of coal, not money, coal. Sorry. That's what happens.
Who knew you had so much coal, Mom? All right, so joking again at the expense of a very serious subject. Here we go again. So the idea is, you know, this is fun and this is funny. I do think that it can be approached in such a way, and again, you know, every family dynamic is different. So that's always kind of the biggest hurdle to get around, you know, because you may have people that don't see each other all year, or just like they're in different places, right? They're in different places. So as soon as, and there's a lot of people, and you may see this too in your practice. There's a lot of people, like when the subject of money comes up,
you can feel the room change.
Right. It's just all the hair on the back of their neck stand up, and everything. It's just right. It's like someone closed the window with that gust of like cold air that just came in. Yeah. So the idea of like money and especially like money when it comes to siblings, right? Like siblings and inheriting money and like who's getting what, because that you know that he got more presents than I got on Christmas back in 1973. That doesn't go away. It just all it does is it just metamorphosizes into something bigger and and more and people don't forget about that.
Well, we've talked about this in the show before. You will do differently for your kids. Your kids will need obviously different things from you, or may have needed different things from you over the course of their lifetime. And for some strange reason, in some families, everybody's got a running tab in their head,
they do.
And they know that Dad and Mom gave you this, and they didn't give me this, and you got this, and I got this, and you got a better this, and I didn't get a better this. And in their mind, it's all in there. And everybody has a different relationship to Mom and Dad. They have a different relationship to Mom and Dad's stuff. They have a different relationship to the house than people have. They have a different relationship to the vacation properties that people have. And so everybody approaches it differently. But if you're
How to Ruin Christmas by John and Jay.
No, what we started off talking about was use this as an opportunity to take stock of, from a positive perspective, how are Mom and Dad doing? If it's something that you're curious about and you feel like it's not a conversation that comes easily. Right, because it's not you and I could talk about it, but in our own world, it's a difficult conversation.
We talk a good game,
right?
But
they're your parents. They're your parents. There's a pecking order. There's an org chart, right? And they're at the top of it. So it's a very difficult question to have to discuss. And you may not want to admit it. You may not want to hear the answers. Right. So there's a way for you to sort of approach some of this stuff in a way that's very non-threatening, but at least allows you to, approach from the outside edges, how this conversation may or may not have to happen. Because trust me, if it doesn't happen, something will happen that's going to bring this screaming to the front of the room, right? So
and hopefully it's not anything awful.
No, that's right. I mean, in a lot of cases, people will tell us, look, we dodged a bullet here in dealing with whatever issue we are, but it's awoken us to the fact that this needs to get done, that this issue needs to be handled. So you don't want that to happen because you might not dodge the bullet. So this is a way for nibbling around the edges and saying, look, I just want to make sure that this is taken care of. I don't care what you've done. I just want to make sure you've done something so that we can help you if that need should ever arise.
Right, and a lot of these situations, again, everything is different, but it could be something. It could be nothing more than just your parent, we use my mother as an example. Like, she's in a different place. Like, she's older, she's more tired, she's got less energy, or if there's something that's really going on, oftentimes it doesn't happen overnight.
That's right.
So the idea of being able to identify it and then say, okay, maybe we need to pay more attention to Mom. Maybe we need to spend more time with her. Maybe we need to, help her to come up with, ideas, that her own ideas, but help her to kind of facilitate the things that need to get done, as opposed to just having to figure everything out for herself. Because a lot of it is just anxiety, right?
Yeah.
A lot of it is stress, and people who are older, who particularly ones who live by themselves, they get stressed out about things that we don't normally get stressed out about. They get stressed out about, like, oh my God, it's going to snow, and I gotta, and I have to, I have this Autobahn meeting next week that I need to buy stuff for. I
have a doctor's appointment. I'm trapped in the house. Am I going to make my doctor's appointment? Am I going to be able to get to the grocery store? Right.
And the doctor's appointment might be a week and a half away. Where you and I are like, oh, don't worry, look at the weather. It's all the snow is going to melt. You're going to be, it's going to be fine. According to the weather forecast. But people don't think like that. They're like, it's all me. I'm all by myself. I have to get to the doctor by myself. No one's going to drive me to the doctor, or no one's going to help me go to the store to help me shop for the Autobahn. So, and then those kind of anxieties can get, they can manifest into other things. They can manifest into, like, people getting upset with, irritated with other people. So again, it all comes back to, if you, in that kind of holiday environment, in that setting where everybody is together and everybody's like, particularly if you have a good, like in your case, you have like a really good family situation where, there's kids, there's grandkids, it's just all super fun. That's a really good time to kind of take stock and say, okay, how does it seem like, how does Mom seem like she's doing in here? And then, if you're really lucky, and you have a good relationship with your parent, you can pull them aside and say, hey, you know what? I'm glad you're having a good time. You look great. It's great to see you. Is everything okay? Is there anything that anything on your mind that you need to, I'm sorry I haven't got, and just kind of, have this like kind of cool, mom and son conversation.
Well, you bring up a great point. So, I mean, look, this is a happy time, right? This is hopefully it's happy for a lot of people. Yes, there's some family dynamics that are always there, but this is the opportunity where I know you. I'm sure you do it, knowing you the way I know you. I'm sure at some point to yourself you get an opportunity to step back and say, look at everybody.
Yeah,
right?
That's good stuff.
Everybody,
right? Yeah.
That's right. Everybody's together. Everyone's having a great time. Everybody gets along really well, and you get to sort of take stock and you pat yourself in the back and you say, "This
It's
is."
usually right when I wake up after I've fallen asleep on the couch.
Yeah,
look at it.
look at everybody. Right?
This is great.
But you get to do that, and if you're spending time and you're staying over and things like that, you're going to get up the next morning, and there's going to be some one-on-one time, right? It's just the nature of how it works, right? Everyone's not getting up at the same time, so there's an opportunity while you're in. Again, this is the time where you're embracing, family, and you're thankful for everything, and everyone's in a good mood for the most part, and you're handing out gifts. So there's going to be some one-on-one time, and there's going to be an opportunity for you to lean on somebody and say, look, how's the holidays going for you? What are your plans? Is there anything you want to get done? It doesn't. We joke a lot about the approach and things like that, but there really are these pockets of intimacy in terms of an opportunity to have these conversations, whether it's with siblings, whether it's with your parents, whether it's with one parent. You get up in the morning and and I remember, my old man was a super early riser, and if I knew he was up, I would make it a point to jump out of bed because I knew he was going to go do something. He was an errand guy. He'd get up in the morning and he knew the grocery store, what time it opened. He knew everybody in the deli.
Get gas.
He was in there getting gas, and he was talking to Mary at the deli and Susie at the produce area, and he knew everybody. But I also knew that if I played my cards right and got up at the same time, I was going to get some absolute lockdown one-on-one time cruising around, and we could cover a lot of stuff. And there's this open opportunity where you're going to be spending time with people, and it's somewhat of a very it's everyone's in a good mood. It's the holidays, and if you're the tree is up and the lights are on and everyone's getting presents, and there's a lot going on. So there are these opportunities to even just float the beginning of some of these ideas if you need to do it, right? And we get these calls all the time. I need to talk about this, but I don't know how to start the process. And I don't want to offend anybody. And someone's gonna pull back when we try to have this. So this is not about solving the issue. You mentioned it. This is not about making any decisions. This is about asking for the opportunity to continue this conversation at a later date.
Yeah,
that's all it is, right? How's everything going? Have you thought about some things, or do we need to set some time up after the first of the year to kind of dial in on some of these things?
Because at that point, right, at Thanksgiving or at the beginning of the Christmas season or even at Christmas Day, the first of the year seems like a long ways away, right?
Yes, it does.
Because that's on the other side of today, right?
Yep.
And today is going to last as long as today in kids' minds and even in grown-ups' minds. Christmas Day lasts 2 weeks long. As far as as far
long as that tree's up. Long as that tree's up. Yep, absolutely right.
So that idea of hey, let's you know what. In the new year, like early in the new year, you kind of say, you do it with your clients, right? You say, hey, it's the holidays. How about we, let's link up early in the year. Let's set something and put something on the calendar right now and say, you know what, we need to visit this. And people are excited about that because, again, it's like that's the time. It's like the resolution time. They can't really commit, a lot of like brain power or energy to.
No, and you don't want them to. You should not at this time. You shouldn't.
Before the holidays. So so it's like now I get to, I get to say it, right? I've kind of done my evaluation. I've said, I feel like the things are okay. So, let's just make sure that everything is, and again, the whole idea of addressing it, and this is more of like an art form than anything, right? So when you're dealing with like an estate planning attorney who is sensitive to like, to like the family dynamics and things, that like, it's like, look, we just want to make sure things are going to happen the way you want it to happen.
Yeah.
Right? We just want. That's it. That's at the
control.
End of
it's about taking control.
At the end of the day, that's what we're trying to do. Or that's what we just want things to happen the way you want it to happen. So, if you can kind of set that stage and kind of tee that up for for a later time, then then you're going to be way ahead of the game.
Yeah, and if you're approaching somebody one at a time, or you approach one person, right, out of mom and dad, one of them's the planner, one of them's not, one of them doesn't want to think about it. Again, if you get pushback, then step back and say, look, I thought it might be something we want to tackle, but that's fine, no big deal. You planted the seed, you put it out there, leave it alone, right? Don't pick at it, don't make it a big deal, don't beat a dead horse with this thing. Just great, you put it out there, you let it go, and then if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. That's fine. There's no harm, no foul. But if you're looking to sort of begin that conversation, or if you're looking to have that conversation, this is the way to do it. This is the way to approach it.
The other thing you can do, it gives you time to evaluate. Kind of, you can get a sense of, of where your siblings are at, or where the other players are at. Because if you, let's say the idea comes up, and like we said, the subject of money sometimes affects people differently. But the idea, you say something, and then and let's say you get a lot of, let's say you get a lot of static, or a lot of noise coming from one of the siblings, like, oh, well, I thought we were going to do this, and blah, blah, blah. So obviously it's been on their mind, right? So that's not a bad thing. That's, it's been on their mind. It's they're part of the dynamic. They're part of the family. So maybe that's something that needs to be addressed, and maybe, that gives you the opportunity to say, to see it and say, okay, well, maybe I need to pull, I need to pull, Billy aside and say, what's going on? Like, what do you think is supposed to happen? Like, you seemed upset, like what's it? So, and again, this is making the assumption that, that the money is like far secondary to kind of the family happiness and the family, togetherness. Hopefully you'll be able to build something or continue something that isn't affected by money or kind of the greedy things that kind of go on in life. And hopefully that you can help guide your family to kind of rise above that, so everything happens the way your parents want, and that your siblings are happy.
Well, you bring up a great point. I mean, we see that all the time, where a couple of siblings, all for any number of reasons, have come at something very differently, right? Or they're all operating off of a completely different wavelength than everybody else.
Yeah, they
right?
just don't. They're just in a different place, right?
Well, they just made different assumptions, right? They made different assumptions,
and you never talk about it, right?
No, that's right. That's right. And so you're right in the sense that you get a chance to kind of tease out how your siblings are going to respond, because that's something that you don't want to find out when tensions are running ridiculously high because there's some health challenge on the table that everybody's trying to deal with.
Something that we're reacting to as opposed to being proactive.
That's right. That's right. There's an emergency, and everybody responds differently in an emergency, and some people rise to the occasion, and some people say, look, I'm just going to step back and let other people take over. This is not my wheelhouse. So you'll get a sense of where everybody's at. And, again, having the beginnings, or having some degree of conversation around this when there's nothing going on. I mean, this is the best time to try to have these discussions.
Sure is.
There's no urgency. No one's worried about stuff. No one's fighting for control. There's nothing to do other than to say, hypothetically speaking, what would happen if this happened, right? And again, we're not trying to put a negative gloom and doom spin on the holiday. We're saying this is the time where you're going to be spending a lot of time with family, and not all of it, is sitting around opening up presents and going. Again, there's the potential for a lot of downtime, and I think it's a don't miss the opportunity to at least start to address some of these things if you've been trying to find a way to do it.
And again, we're not saying this is what you come in. This is we're not saying start talking about this before you take your jacket off, right?
No.
Before you put the presents under the tree.
And by the way, the opportunity may not present itself.
Right.
I'm not going to approach my mother in a room full of people and say, hey, by the way, how you feeling? Look like you look a little slow moving across the room there. I asked you to get me a beer 20 minutes ago. It took you forever to get it. What's going on? Last year I timed you. Last year it took you 10 minutes. This year it took you 20, and you brought me the wrong one. What the heck's going on?
Light beer, right? Pour it out on the rug, right?
Yep, that's right.
Try it again.
Totally missed the glass, right? Totally missed the glass, right?
Try it again.
Gave it to the dog, not me. Something's up. No, that's the opportunity may not present itself. But what we're saying is, if you want to keep an eye out for the opportunity, then look for it. And if it's there, then you try to take it. If it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. Then you try it, you reach out another time and you say, look, something I was thinking about over the holidays when I saw everybody together,
Right.
and I saw how great everybody was getting along, and I thought, how do we make sure that some lack of planning doesn't ruin that dynamic?
Yeah, it's got to be for the right reason.
Yes.
It's not to see what you're going to get. It's not
No.
to make sure that you're getting what you think is coming to you.
That's right.
No,
It's not about you. It's never about you.
Yeah, and people will know if it is, right?
Oh, they'll pick it
Right?
up like that.
Yeah, people know you. Like my siblings will know if I'm like, oh, so listen, I was wondering about kind of what's going to happen with this house, Mom. They'll know.
Yeah.
They'll know. It has to be addressed the right way. It has to be, we joked around about having you dressing up as Santa, and that could happen, but probably won't. But
No, but you know what could happen? What could happen is you could start off the beginnings of this conversation by saying, I was listening to these guys on the radio.
Blame us.
And absolutely right. Blame the lawyer. We tell people all the time. I was listening to these guys on the radio. They were kind of joking around about it, which was pretty funny, I thought, because they're just absolutely comedic geniuses. But they mentioned this whole idea. Go figure, right?
You've heard of them.
Checking on you over the holidays. How you doing, by the way?
stupid.
How you
Yeah.
doing, right? So again, blame us. You want to get the conversation going. You want to look for an opportunity to have it. Then you certainly can do it a number of ways. But when in doubt, push it out, right? Say to us guys, hey, these guys talked about it, and I don't know. I mean, is it something that you guys have thought about?
I don't know.
Well, I don't know, right? Play Mickey the Dunce,
talk
right?
about it,
I don't
yeah.
know. They mentioned it. I
don't know.
I figured they kept making a big deal about using this time, so I thought I'd do it. And how's it go? And you never know. You'd be surprised. You might be pleasantly surprised, or you might get punched in the face. One of the two. One of the two.
Merry Christmas.
Mom's got a great right hook. Watch out. Yep. That's right. Gotta dodge that. Watch out. Watch out.
Keep your right up, Mom.
That's right.
There you go. That's right.
Happy holidays. Lean in. That's right. Let's lean in. Yep. That's right.
All right, we got to wrap it up. That's it.
Good stuff.
Okay.
Always.
All right.
Always.
So I just want to check on your Christmas spirit. So it's a little early in the season. It sounds like it's not down. Like
No, it's not
sounds like
done.
you're there.
No, it's not done. No,
Sounds
it's
like
not
good.
done. No,
All
it's
right.
not. We had a lot. This is a big year for us. We had a lot going on. My daughter, her birthday is Christmas Eve.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
she will be turning the big 1-8 this year.
Ooh,
And so you talk about
dearie,
feeling
dearie,
old.
yeah.
That's when you feel old,
Yeah.
right? Your kid can vote. Oh,
Yeah.
that's okay. So
That's right.
So yeah, so there's a lot of great things going on.
Of course,
right?
Jay was voting at 16. He used a fake ID so he
To
could
vote.
get in.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Alex P. Keaton, fake ID. Yep, so I can vote. But I start to circle the drain on the mood when I got to start putting everything up that I got to take down in 2 weeks. But that's a different show, different story, different
Well, you know what? I'm
conversation.
going to be there for
You
you.
monitor
I'm going
that.
to be,
You
I'm going to
monitor
be
that
there
for
for
me.
you. We'll
All right.
see everybody next week on Money in the Law, My FM 101.3 WMRC, first class radio, along with Holliston Cable Access TV, which is brought to you by my man Christian Bidet. And let us not forget that My FM 101.3 is your 2019 and 9-time winner.
Nine times.
Massachusetts Broadcasting Association Radio Station of the Year. December 14th, Casey's Crossing, beat Navy, bring old jackets and long underwear, not short underwear.
Have a great week.
See everybody next week.